As AI becomes more integral to the workplace, our next guest highlights that businesses must prepare their workforce to collaborate with AI, which means reskilling and redefining roles. Well, David Ellis is Consulting Managing Partner at IBM. He joins us now. David, welcome to AusBiz. Good to have you on the show. So you there at IBM talk about the science of consulting, which is data-driven. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks for having me on the channel. It's a real pleasure to be here. Yeah, when we talk about the science of consulting, we're really talking about the way that we apply the AI tools, the capabilities, the data insights to drive value for our clients. So it's really about the application of these technologies in a really thoughtful, scientific manner.
So tell us a little more about what you're doing there at IBM. Given IBM Consulting, you're actually in a tech company. So how are you taking advantage of that?
Yeah, thanks. We've been on a journey around AI for about 7 decades, and we've been applying AI at scale in our own business since about 2018. So we're a little bit further advanced than many other organizations in terms of learning what works and what doesn't when you apply AI at scale within organizations. Within IBM Consulting, one of the real advantages that we've got is that because we're part of this large technology business that has all of this history, all of this knowledge IP in AI, we've been able to apply this to our own business. So we provide all of our consultants with what we would consider leading edge AI tools, which enable them to become somewhere between 50 and 80% more productive in the work that they do for our clients.
And I see you talk about collaborating with AI rather than having AI replace your elements of your business, if you like. How does that work as AI is reshaping consulting at this point?
Yeah, look, that's a really good question. So the way that we think about the application of AI, I suppose, is no different from any other of the great revolutions that have taken place, in the sense that people with machines replace people, frankly, without machines. And so as we think about what we can do with technology, that's clearly freeing up an enormous amount of latent capacity. So we can do a lot more for our clients. Our people can be a lot more effective and productive and enable our clients' people to be much more productive, but it also frees up this latent capacity. So what we're thinking about, obviously, is while we're making substantial investments in the technology itself, we're also making enormous investments in people such that we can reskill them, retrain them so that they can get the best possible outcomes with the technology, but also in some cases find different pathways so that they can continue in their careers.
Yeah, David, you talk about reskilling there. Now, of course, AI is seen to be automating those routine business practices. Nonetheless, that does lead to the prospect of job losses. Is that inevitable? And or does that then lead to the creation of new jobs?
Well, I think it's both. I definitely think that it would be disingenuous to say that jobs aren't going to be disrupted by AI. I think that we've already seen that playing out. I think if you look at our business, and I mentioned that we've been applying AI at scale for the last 7 years or so, what you see in the trend within IBM is that the number of people that we're employing is pretty static. But the nature of the roles that we have within this business is inevitably changing. So it's allowing us to spend less time on what would be routine, perhaps less value adding, perhaps more back office focused activities, and divert that time, energy, and effort to be, in our case, being productive, being client facing, and delivering greater productivity and growth.
And while acknowledging that AI presents great opportunity, you also talk about potential risks. What are those?
Well, look, again, I think that's a very timely question. I mean, one of the risks that I'm most cognizant of as a business leader, but also, quite frankly, as a father, is how this is going to affect the career pathways of people here in Australia, especially. There's a lot of talk, you will have seen it, around the disruption of AI, particularly around entry-level jobs. And essentially, there's two schools of thought. Either the entry-level jobs can be disrupted, can essentially be taken away by AI, or perhaps another school of thought is to say, well, what we need to do is we need to equip the people that are coming into our businesses with the AI tools so that they can be much more effective than perhaps you or I would have been in the early parts of our career. We're betting on the latter, by the way, so we're increasing our graduate intakes. we're doubling down in terms of the investments that we're making with our young professionals to ensure that they've got the skills and the capabilities to be more valuable. We may be an outlier in that. We'll see.
David, do you feel as though the necessary guardrails are in place, or perhaps we've been a bit slow to regulate?
Again, a very, very good question. I'm sure this is going to be a hot topic at the productivity roundtable coming up. And I certainly don't envy the policymakers who have to lean into this. At least from an IBM perspective, we're not waiting for regulation. We've been putting our own guardrails in place now for many years. We have a global AI governance board with decision-making authority that can oversee all of the activities that we're undertaking. And quite frankly, they've made some tough calls in the past. They've taken us out of some markets which were potentially profitable to us because of concerns, because we think that this is really important, that all leaders within this domain are incredibly responsible, irrespective of what governments decide to do.